Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Untuk minggu ini, saya akan berkongsi bersama para pelajar berkenaan dengan tajuk method statement, Gantt chart, network analysis and CPM. So, terminologi yang saya sebutkan ini ataupun kaedah yang saya sebutkan ini adalah merupakan kaedah yang diguna pakai dalam pengurusan projek maupun projek-projek pembinaan bagi memastikan sebuah projek yang dilaksanakan itu dapat dilaksanakan dengan baik, dengan sistematik dan dilaksanakan dengan perancangan yang sangat tepat. Dan hasil daripada itu makanya susulan daripada perancangan yang baik yang dilakukan, insya-Allah setiap projek akan dapat dihasilkan dengan jayanya. Alright. So as an introduction, based on those method that has been mentioned before, in terms of planning. So planning is the process of thinking about the activities required to create a desired future on same scale. And in construction, planning helps manager to clarify, focus and research their project's development and prospects. And planning offers a logical framework within which a project can develop and pursue project objective, and also offers a benchmark against which actual performance can be measured and reviewed. So all of the method that has been mentioned before, so those method actually is the planning method in construction project. So it can be used to ensure the success of the project implementation. In terms of the importance of those method, it helps to detect and avoid mistake or recognize hidden opportunities. And it also enables the PM to understand more clearly what they want to achieve and how and when they can do it. Because all the method actually will state all the importance elements such as when actually the task will be done, and then how actually it's going to be done, and so on. And it is used to persuade people to perform tasks before they delay other construction operation. And it is also a comprehensive plan. A comprehensive plan, of course, will not guarantee success, but lack of a sound plan will almost certainly ensures failure. So the method actually is very important, because if you do not have a proper method in construction project, then the chance to failure actually will be very big. But of course, when you have a plan, it doesn't mean that it will guarantee the project success. Sometimes the project can be delayed as well. And a basis for developing the project budget, cash flow, method statement, work and resource schedule. So it acts as a basis for developing the project budget, cash flow and so on. And it is very important because it is a critical task in the management of construction that must be carried out at the early project stage. So it can actually um, identify which actually is the critical task in that particular project that must be carried out at the early project stage. So you know when actually the task, when actually or how to decide which task actually you should do first, and then after another. So in terms of the obstacles to effective planning, of course, there are time span covered, like unforeseen or unpredictable events. So this is all the obstacles to effective planning, mental ability, lack of information, human element, cost of planning. So these are all the basic issues and problems that has been facing by all project managers in construction project. So what is actually a good plan? A good plan actually is a design and developed together with project team members. So you get all the team members to involve in the project planning and the design, so that everyone in the project team will have a good knowledge, and actually they will contribute and input towards the project success. And it must not impose excessive restraint. Of course, it must be flexible, and it must include the precipitate action. You know which one should comes first and which one comes later, and it can distinguish between facts and assumption, and must be realistic. The project planning must be realistic, then only it can be implemented in a normal manners. Again, a good plan, depending upon the type of project, a plan can comprise of long range, intermediate range, and short range, and provide the framework within which construction strategy can be implemented and activities it must operate. And the plan must not be done offhand and must be prepared after careful and extensive research. Okay, so what to plan? So in construction planning, uh, as I have been mentioned earlier in my other lecture before, so the construction planning involve three important items, which is cost, time, and quality. So in terms of cost, it will involve the tender, contract, payments, claims, variations, and final accounts, whatever document which actually related to the cost of the project. And then in terms of time, this include the pre-tender activities and post-contract activities. So we can predict the project period or the timing of each task included in the project. And in terms of the quality, so it includes the specification, supervision, inspection, material testing, testing and commissioning, and just to ensure that everything is in order. So in terms of the significance of planning, so in planning actually we have the client. So this is the most important party in construction. Otherwise, you won't have a project, because if you don't have client, meaning that you don't have a project. So the client know how long the project will take to enable the determination the project capital outlay needed, and because the client is the one who put in the money into the project, and the client evaluate the validity of proposals submitted by the consultants and contractors, because the client should know uh, where actually his or her money goes. And the client, just to the responsibility of the client, actually the client can monitor to compare actual progress against planned project activities. So the client should be updated on the project progress. In terms of the consultants, so as a consultants, Identification of key milestone in the design and construction stage of the project. The consultant should anticipating and undertaking tasks at various deadlines at the various stage of the work, identifying who does what and when, identify the critical activities which influence the project outcomes, identifying when the contractors will be engaged in the project, and monitoring the design and construction processes. So the consultant actually is like a representative to the client. Normally, the client will appoint the consultant, and the consultant will work on behalf of the client. The contractor. So the contractor, when the contractor comes in into the project, when the project just about to start, so the contractor is responsible during the tender stage, during the construction stage, and weekly operation. So when the project starts, so all the responsibility within the site boundary actually is under the contractors. So the contractors should determine a realistic contract duration, decide the construction method, and identify what resources will be required for the project, like what kind of machines, what kind of plants that needs for the project, and when actually they need to order the material and so on, and provides the basis for the project implementation strategy, planning and scheduling of resources, engagement of subcontractors, approval, claims, and payments. Because normally the payments and claims must be done by the main contractor, who actually being appointed. So the subcontractor will sit under the main contractor. So anything, payment, uh, commitments, everything will rely on the main contractor. So the main contractor must ensure that the subcontractors perform their works. And the contractor must monitor work progress, replanning construction activities, when needed, and do the resource allocation in terms of the material required for the project. So importance of construction program in construction contract. So it acts as a key term of reference for the contract, provides a basis to monitor progress, the contractor's considered scheme of work, commitment to follow the method and sequence of the construction outline, revision and alteration from clients and consultants, which may result in extra payment. And should the contractor or subcontractor fail to meet their programs, so they have to pay the penalty. And in terms of the factors which actually influence the project planning, so of course the definition of work tasks, the choice of technology, methodology of carrying out the works, estimation of the required resources, duration of the individual tasks, interaction among the different work tasks, and site location. So these are all the factors uh, that will influence the project planning. So when you are compiling a program, when you want to do or you want to prepare the CPM, or you want to the contractor wants to work out on the work schedule or the schedule of the project, the whole project. So when compiling a programs, the contractor must know the resources, the organization and utilization of labor, plant and materials. So everything must be in detail, and the contractor must know how many workers will involve in the project, what types of plant, what kinds of material that they need to have on site in order to implement the project, and activities, and they must know the activities, packages of work which consume resources, and logic, the relationship and interdependence between activities. So when you are compiling a project, of course, other things that you have to know, actually the duration, so the level of resources allocated to activity, the output of these resources, and the quantity of work, so how long each task will take. External restraints, for example, partial completion or sectional handover, constraints on material and plant delivery, and labor constraints, and other potential problems like any threat or implication to critical activities. This like any um, I mean anything that might uh, affect the project activities. And then method statement. So I think all of you are quite familiar with the method statement. So in any construction project, method statement is very important in project implementation. So each task that need to be done as per contract document, so method statement must be prepared by the contractor. So the method statement must show all the detailed works that need to be done. Then the document of the method statement must be present to the consultant. So normally the contractor will have a discussion with the consultant during the technical meeting without the client. Then after they get the mutual agreement towards the method statement, so the method statement will be presented to the client, and normally the contractor will present during the site meeting. So after that, the method statement must get the client approval before the actual work can be started on site. So that is the important of the method statement, because without the method statement, the contractor cannot proceed with any work. And so this is method statement. Eh? So information required in the method statement include stage of operation, activity, quantity of work, construction technique, sequence of operation, and so on. So this is the example of how actually the activity take place in a project. So everything is in order. So it states everything, how many employee, how many staff involved, and so on, and what material involved in that particular task, and the cost as well, and the duration. Okay, so the construction program must be realistic, achievable, unambiguous, based on available information, and coordinated with any other programs for the work. And it must show all significant activities which should be clearly defined, work of specialists, if it involves any specialists, consistent forms of visual expression for clarity and ease identification, and ease monitoring performance. Okay, so it must reflect the sound. Okay, this one I just skip on. You can have a look and read through this slide. Okay, so this is the types of planning. So we go into types of planning, bar chart, line of balance, and network analysis. And but for this class, actually, what you are going to focus on is only on the network analysis. Okay, which is activity on arrow. Okay, so this is the bar chart definition. So I'm not gonna explain in detail on the bar chart or Gantt chart. I think most of you actually is quite familiar with how to go about or how to prepare the bar chart or the Gantt chart. But the bar chart and Gantt chart actually is one of the method that normally used in construction project. Okay, because in terms of its features, so it is one of the method which actually is quite easy to understand, and it has been widely used among the construction player as a planning tool. And it consists of a series of bar plotted against a horizontal time scale. So it lists all the operation and activities that to be carried out. Okay, so bar chart, and then if you look at this slide, so bar chart is quite simple. So you just do the activities and include the time scale. Okay, so in terms of the level of activities, depends on the intended use of the plan. Okay, and it also involve the time scale prepared to suit the user's purpose. And as I said before, one of the advantage of using the bar chart actually is quite easy to understand, most readily recognized format, quick and ready to prepare. The start and finish dates and duration of each activity is clearly shown. Okay, so this is the example of the bar chart, very simple. So you have the list of the activity here. So this is the uh, period of the work. Maybe this is first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or so on, or day one, day two, and day three. So it simply indicate, okay, when actually the site clearing should be carried out, and how long actually it will take place. Okay, then it's very straightforward and simple. Okay, this is a link bar chart. Okay, this one also I just skip this one. You just read through on this one, because this one actually is this is the it shows the line of balance, which actually is suitable for repetitive work such as high-rise construction, tunnel, roadway pavement, construction pipelines, and housing project. Okay, then we go to the project network, which actually the one that I will teach you on how to do the CPM based on the AOA. eh. So in project network, actually it has two types, which is AON, activity on node, and AOA, activity on arrow. So the one that we're gonna learn actually is activity on arrow. So the if you compare between these two, AON actually represent nodes actually represent the activities, and arrow show precedence relationship. While activity on arrow represent activities, and nodes are events for point in time. Okay. So these the advantages of using the network analysis, the project network ni, is produce more realistic models of the proposed project, identification of potential problems such as sequence delay is easier and their likely effect determined, critical activities and locations requiring attention can be identified easily, and it illustrates explicitly the time and sequence of work proposed. And while some disadvantages of project network, preparation of network diagram requires more effort. But now actually outside there in in construction industry, when prepare while they are preparing for the project network, actually there are many software that can help the contractor or the consultant to prepare the network diagram. So understanding of the active techniques is only to those who understand the principle, and program for large project tend to be unmanageable unless split into sub-programs. Okay, so this again, activities. So the following. Okay, so this one I just skip this one. Okay, this one also the advantage. Okay, network analysis definition. You just read through this one. What is the definition of network analysis? So it must have a predecessor, a task that precedes another task and is related to it by a dependency link, while successor, a task that follows another task and is related to it by a dependency link. So in network analysis diagram, so you will see the predecessor and successor. So the CPM is a project management method calculating the total duration of a project based on upon individual task duration and dependencies. So in what actually you should know in preparing in getting the critical path method. So the longest path through a network which defines project time. So that is the critical path. And why we call it critical path? Because it is the longest path through a network which defines project time, from start to finish. And the path with the least float on which any task expansion or delay lengthens the project duration. Okay. So this is an example of the network analysis. So normally it has a early start and early finish. And this one is a latest start and latest finish. So early start is the earliest date a task could start without conflicting with dependency relationship, while early finish, the earliest date a task could finish without affecting the project end date, and late start is the latest date a task could start without affecting the project end date, while float is the difference between the time available to complete a task and the estimated task duration. So these are all the terms that you should understand if when you are preparing the CPM. So in terms of CPM again, so I just skip this one. Okay. So like this one, dependency diagram. Okay. So when you actually preparing you are getting the CPM using the AOA. So the step that you should do is you have to list the activities and producing a logical network of activities. So in this example, so events, for example, events one. So this is the activity, and event after that it goes to event two and activity two and again event. Event actually is the points where arrows start or finish. So there are three questions to have in mind when you do the AOA. Which activity must be complete before this activity start? Which activity cannot start unless this activity is complete, and which activities are independent of each other and therefore can take place at the same time. Okay, and sometimes actually you will encounter the dummy activities, but these actually do not represent any activities but are simply a logical link and are drawn as a broken line. So you will see this when you are projecting your CPM diagram later. So these are the dummy activities, just to show you how actually the dummy activities look like. But it doesn't carry or represent any meanings to the or it doesn't affect any um, anything that might give bad impacts to the project implementation. Okay, so when you are preparing the AOA, the thing that you should know actually the diagram should be project should be projected with no looping and no hanging. Okay. So these activities on arrow. Okay. So these are the things that you should remember as well. Okay. It must be forward past the earliest event time and backward past the latest event time. Critical path and critical activities, float, total float and free float, and dummy activities. So these are all the terms that you should remember when you do the CPM diagram. Okay, and this is very important slide as well to show on what is the element involved in AOA. So, for example, this is the earliest start, and this is the latest start from activity number 2. This there is two activity here, activity 2 and activity 3. So in at activity 2, you have the earliest start and earliest finish time from 2 to 3, and you have the latest start here from activity 2, and you have the latest finish at activity 3. So you read through this one. Earliest start time, the earliest day of task could start, same as before that I mentioned. And you, when you are calculating the total float, so this is the two for apa formula that you have to remember, which actually when you are calculating the total float, so the formula is LF minus ES, latest finish minus earliest start minus duration. And free float, if you want to get the free float, the formula is earliest finish minus earliest start minus duration. So please student, please remember these two formula, because this actually gonna be used for your diagram calculation later. Okay, so this is some exercise, activity on arrow, construct a network diagram, timing analysis. Okay, I will show you how to do this exercise later. Okay, this is exercise 1. Okay, so if you look at this exercise, it comes with the numbers of activities, and which activities depend on which activities, and this activity depends on which activity. Okay, so this is exercise 1. Okay, or this should be exercise 1 as well. Sorry, this is exercise 2. Actually, this is exercise 2, and this is exercise 3. Okay, alright. So this one, I just keep this one, AON. Okay, so I will teach you actually on how to project the CPM based on this exercise later in my uh, next lecture. Okay, so this one I just keep AON. Alright. So this is project crashing and time cost trade-off, and how you can actually compress the task, and in order to avoid delay and so on. Okay, but this one just you just read through. Okay, so I think that is all from me for this lecture. So inshallah, I will see you in my next lecture, and share with all of you on how actually we do the network diagram, and how to calculate the total float and the free float. So with that, thank you very much.